What's up, guys? It's the RedhawkDirector, and welcome to part 2 of Monstercat 002 early stage retroactive review. Last time we talked about Triceratops by Halonova, Some Wobbles by Fixa, and Light Pollution by Stephen Walking. If you want to hear those, go back to that one. But this time we've got two new artists. Or no, I'm sorry, we have one new artist and two returning artists. So we have Rock the House by Matduke, which is a hardcore song, ExXxplode by Arion, which is electro house, and Obsession by Neilio, which is hardstyle. So that's what you have to look forward to. Let's get into the first one. So this is Rock the House by Matduke, the first hardcore song on the label. It's the second hard dance, but the last one was Neilio's Captivating, which is hard style. This one is proper hardcore. If you don't know the difference, basically hardcore is usually 170 BPM, usually has a happy melody, but not always, and is usually at about 170 BPM. And it's kick heavy, and it's also a 4 on the floor drum pattern. Whereas hardstyle is 150 BPM, has the signature hardstyle kick, which can be best described as bong bong bong, and usually very ravey. And yeah, there's your difference between the two. Matduke is more of a hardcore guy, whereas Neilio is more of a hardstyle guy. We'll get back into him. Anyway, this is the first song by Matduke on the label as well, and Matduke's one of my favorite early artists. So being able to critically analyze his songs should be really fun. The name of this song is Rock the House, which is an idiom, which means to do really well at a concert or something of the sort. So, you know, I guess what Matduke's going for here is if you played the song at a show, you're gonna rock the house. Does it rock the house, though? I guess we shall see. So, we start here with a very fast-paced, quiet intro. A lot of the song is paced like this, which is really cool. It makes things very frantic. And then a break beat gets introduced after, which is really cool. There's like an alarm sound in the background. That's the best way I can describe it. And there's really cool sound design here to start off this song. I'm really cool with this part. And then the beat falls out and comes back very quickly as the build-up starts proper. The main melody comes in on synths by themselves as the build-up sort of intensifies, and then it dissolves. And then it comes right back afterwards. The song likes doing that a lot. And it comes back with voice samples that are just saying rock the house in a very high-pitched female voice. And then it kind of gets faster and faster, and then the actual sample kind of corrupts and glitches out, and that indicates the drop. And I don't know if I like that, but it's probably one of the weaker parts of the song. Anyway, this first drop has a very kick-heavy standard beat as per hardcore. The melody is really cool, and it's one of those melodies that kind of gets drawn out over 4 bars. And I love when songs do this instead of just having like a very simple melody, because this means that we're able to use the melody a lot more, and without it being tiring. So in this case, the melody is repeated 4 times, which I'm not normally a huge fan of it, and in this case I'm not a huge fan of it either, but it makes it a lot more tolerable than, say, the melody of Hello, which is generally a one bar melody, or God forbid, a lot of the later house songs, or like the 2012, 2013 house songs are like that as well, and especially the 2011 ones. But anyway, so it repeats 4 times, and then the second half of the drop, it's not really a half, it's just kind of the second part of it, features an abbreviated melody. It's very similar to the normal melody. It's one of those, it still extends over 4 bars, and I think that repeats twice. And that's definitely the best part of the drop. And then there's some cool drum work at the end of the drop. And then, the best part of the song, the midsection. The midsection is fantastic. It's got this very orchestral sound to start it. And then a piano comes in, and yeah, this is just beautiful. You wouldn't expect to see this in a hardcore song, but here it is. Drums come in, and the build-up starts once again. We get a piano version of the melody, which is amazing, and that backs up the Rock the House voice samples. It's the same build-up as the first one otherwise, same corruption at the very end, which is cool, and then the second drop is copy-paste. And yeah, I really wish he would have changed it up here. It doesn't have the abbreviated melody at the end either, which means that there's not even variation in this drop, it's just the melody. And that's really a shame, because the outro, we'll go into the outro real quick before I kind of explain my thoughts on the song. The outro is very cool. It's got like a very early 2000s techno style sound to it, which it can be done well, it can be done poorly. This one's kind of in the middle. It's a cool way to end the song, though. It's a fresh way to end the song. And it's very fast-paced, as is the entire song. So yeah, so this song is paced very well. That's really one of my two main positives about it. The other part being the instrumentation in the intro, the outro, and especially the midsection. The midsection is amazing. As far as parts that I don't like the fact that the voice sample is very high-pitched and annoying and repetitive. It's not the worst voice sample that I'll be talking about today, but yeah, it's still not great. And then the worst part is the fact that it really overuses that melody. It's a cool melody, and it's spread out over 4 bars, which is really cool, but it's played a total of 8 times in the 2 drops, so that's 32 of the 40 bars that are in the drops, which is just kind of I'm not a fan of it. Yeah, well-paced, copy-paste drops are basically the 2 main things you need to know, and good instrumentation as well. It's a solid debut by Matduke. And he definitely establishes himself as an artist to watch, but I give it a 5 out of 10. It's a good song. It's probably higher on the 5 out of 10 than lower, but I really do think Matduke can do better in the future, and I think he did do better in the future. Alright, so for our second song we have ExXxplode by Arion. It's Arion's second song on the label, and it's his second one that's Electro House. If you remember, I kind of liked Cold Blood and Ice Cream Cones, which is his song on launch week, but I thought there were definitely some flaws to it and some stuff that was pretty easily fixable. So it's time to see if Arion actually fixed them. The name is ExXxplode, which are both things that have to do with explosives. ExXxplode. Yeah, I don't think I'm legally allowed to explain what that means, because I'm pretty sure the majority of my viewers are under 18 years old. So there's definitely some websites dedicated to what this name means, and I'll leave it at that. So the way the song starts is it's definitely a very housey beat, a very empty, but cool stuff starts coming in. You hear some like white noise and just bits like that, and then a melody comes in, and that's pretty cool. And then the vocal sample comes in. It's fucking it's faint at first, so you're like, okay, it's probably not gonna be that bad, because there's a cool melody to it, and then the build-up starts, and then you start hearing the full wrath and extent of the vocal sample, because it's just really, really high-pitched and really shitty and really repetitive, and everything I hate about EDM voice samples. The build-up is very generic at best, and I say at best because it's very generic when there's not the stupid vocal sample in there. The vocal sample ruins it. It completely ruins it. This is a really bad part of the song. And then there's this sound. It's definitely a video game reference. It sounds like something from Yoshi's Island. I almost want to say it sounds like a Shy Guy noise, but I'm not 100% sure about that. And then the drop starts, and it starts pretty cool. It's got this nice little pacing to it, because it's 133 BPM, which is quite fast for an electro song. And yeah, the melody is paced really well here. The melody is kind of similar to Cold Blood and Ice Cream Cones, but in this case it's a lot better. And there's a cool little vocal chop in the background. It's not the you want to blow up thing, but it's like a male. It sounds like a grunt almost, but it's really cool. I like it. And then that's the first the first part of the drop. The third and fourth bar on this like little 4-note or this 4-bar repeat are really cool. I just really like the way it sounds. And then these first 4 bars repeat for the second part of the first part of the drop. If that makes any sense. And then the stupid vocal sample gets reintroduced here with a little note in the background. It kind of sounds like an alarm, as increasing in pitch. And that's the first and third bar of this 4-bar bit, I guess. The second and fourth bars are okay, mostly because no vocal samples, and because it sounds pretty similar to the third and fourth bar, the first part of the drop. But overall, this part of the drop just kind of sucks. The vocal sample completely ruins it, and it's just a whole thing. Then we get to the midsection, and the midsection is also ruined by these vocal samples because there's some really cool instrumentation here. There's strings. It's very orchestral, very similar to the midsection from Rock the House. But in this case, it's the stupid, it's just so repetitive, so annoying. Hate it. And also the strings at some point start going, from your left to right headphone if you're like listening in stereo. And that also gets kind of annoying. Arion did that a lot in Cold Blood and Ice Cream Cones too, but it's overused here, so I don't like it. And there's not much of a build-up except for the vocal sample, which is obviously going to be one of my least favorite parts of the song. But that kind of introduces into our second drop, and it starts pretty cool. It's definitely different at this point, because mostly the big change is that if you remember that note that was increasing in pitch from before in the vocal sample, I guess, that's now decreasing in pitch, which sounds a lot cooler. It definitely sounds like the song's kind of cooling down, which is definitely a good thing. And there's not really much else that's different in this first part of the drop, because it's kind of the standard fare. And then in the second part of the drop, this is the best part for me at least, because then there's no vocal sample. Oh my god, the vocal sample is so bad, and it's not used here. And this part of the song gets a little repetitive because it's pretty similar to the first part of this drop, but it's so much better without the vocal sample that I almost can't dock it because of that. And then the outro also has no vocal sample. It's got strings and it's got some synths as well, which is cool. But yeah, again, the second half of the song, basically as soon as it drops for the second time, at that point it's like, alright, we're in the clear. I can actually enjoy this song now. But I'm gonna rate this a 4 out of 10. Because there is some very good parts of this song. Basically, anything that the vocal sample is not in is actually pretty cool. It's good electro house for this part of Monstercat history, at least. But the vocal sample, when it's in it, just completely ruins it. It's terrible. I don't know if it's the worst vocal sample on Monstercat, because there's some other really bad ones, but this one's really bad, and it sucks too, because this song is definitely better than Cold Blood and Ice Cream Cones otherwise. But since that stupid vocal sample exists, it's a 4 out of 10. Alright, on to the third and final song of this episode of reviews. We get Obsession by Neilio. It's his second song on the label, and it's his second hardstyle song. Spoiler, he doesn't make anything other than hardstyle on the label. If you remember Captivating, it was okay. I didn't love it, but there were some good parts about it, and I don't particularly like hardstyle. It's probably one of my least favorite genres on the label, but I feel like I'm at least a little bit more open to it than other people. And by other people, I mean a lot of people. Like pretty much everybody I know that's into Monstercat just hates hardstyle. I can't say I hate it, but there's definitely some bad hardstyle, and hopefully this is not it, but we'll get into it. The name is Obsession, and obsession is the state of mind when you basically can't think of anything else. It's you could be obsessed with a person, you could be obsessed with an ideal, you can be obsessed with alcohol. I don't know, you can be obsessed with pretty much anything, and that's kind of what starts addiction. So don't be obsessed with things, I guess. That's my tip for you. This name makes sense later in the song, and it also could be referencing Neilio's obsession with the hardstyle kick. Alright. And the intro starts with said hardstyle kick. It's kind of, this intro is really bad, It adds a little bit of a little bit of a normal beat, which is kind of cool. After some generic hard style effects, and then we get the first speech sample. We had each other for warmth, and yep, Neilio's doing the speech thing again. That's kind of a thing that he does. And then a little ravey melody comes in, and then after that it adds a cool little piano melody, so I like that part a lot. And then we had each other for warmth, and then bam, there's a drop, and it's very bong bong bong. Yeah. And there's not much melody here at all. This drop's pretty bad. It's just as generic of hardstyle as you can get with no melody whatsoever. It's extremely repetitive. Yeah, no, this drop's pretty bad. And then this speech sample comes in, and this is the first time it's more than just one line. And it's, if you remember the last song, it was about music and how captivating it is. In this case, it's just romantic bullshit. It's this guy obsessed with this woman and talking about how she's beautiful and all that bullshit. And then bam, second drop. Yeah. There's an actual melody here, which makes it an improvement on the first drop, but it's still very mediocre. And yeah, if you notice, there was no "we had each other for warmth" this part, which I kind of like that about the first song, that it always dropped at "it's captivating," or "it captivates." Yeah, that's what it was. And I liked that. I don't like this. So anyway, the beat falls out, and it's just got this atmospheric melody, and it's actually kind of nice. Some of the midsections in this song are pretty good, but then it's the romantic bullshit again. It's the same words as the last time, like deleted into the second drop. And then it's, here we go. We had each other for warmth. Drop. And this is the best part of the song so far. The melody changes again though. And this is probably a good time to address one of my biggest problems with this song is the fact that it uses too many melodies. It's got a distinct lack of identity up to this point, because it's used like 5 or 6 different melodies already. The only real thing that ties this thing together is the romantic bullshit and then the bullshit, basically. And then the end of this drop is a little bit too ravey for me, but whatever, I can forgive that. And then there's even more romantic bullshit, and then the most out of nowhere drop again. It's the fourth drop, and it's another different melody. It's cool that he's trying to vary up the song, but this is too varied. There has to be at least something to tie the song together, other than hardstyle kicks and romantic bullshit. And at this point, we're like 4 minutes in already, and there's still really been nothing going on in the song. And the song is way too long at this point. And then things finally get decent. We get romantic bullshit, and then he says, "You brought me so much joy, love, happiness," and then the hardstyle bit goes. It's really, really cool. It's weird that's probably the best part of the song. And then things get really creepy. You then try to break free from the restraints. The muffled sound of your sweet voice through the duct tape was probably an "I love you." And this is the only other cool bit of the song, besides some of the instrumentation in the midsections and then the bong 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 bit right before it, is it actually kind of makes the song really creepy, which is a little cool. It's all the romantic bullshit before can kind of be forgiven because it was basically from the mouth of a madman, and it's kind of a cool tale, I guess. If only there wasn't hardstyle BS around it, basically. But yeah, this is the best part of the song, and then it drops again, and the fifth drop is very similar to the first drop, which means no new melody, which is good. But once again, it's just a repeat without adding anything whatsoever. And then the outro is just kind of a generic bong 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 bong. And all that really accompanies this, other than some white noise, is just weird rave stuff. So yeah, that's Obsession by Neilio. I don't know if you could tell by my tone, but I don't like this song. It's got no identity whatsoever. There's like 7 or 8 different melodies that are used, and none of them are particularly good. And that means this song just doesn't know what it's trying to be. Nothing is memorable in this song at all, except for the creepiness and then the overuse of the hardstyle kick, which I think is something that Captivating did well. It had bits where it was like a more hardcore, like trancey beat, It didn't overuse it there, but this song is 6 minutes of just hardstyle beat, basically. That's almost the entire percussion, and that's not a good thing. The song is also 2 minutes too long. It probably could have done with 3 drops instead of 5, and, you know, maybe not repeating the romantic bullshit once or twice. Yeah, there is so much wrong with this song, and there's so little good things about it that I'm only gonna rate this a 1 out of 10. It's the first one. There's not gonna be many more, and this one's on the higher end of 1 out of 10. So this isn't the worst song on the label, but it's pretty close. There's some bad stuff going on here. Sorry for anyone who likes this song or Neilio in general, but this is just a failure by him to, you know, create a lasting song, in my opinion. He's definitely got better stuff out there, you know, outside of Monstercat and in Monstercat, but this is just bad. Sorry. So yeah, that's my part 2 of the Monstercat 002 early stage review. I rated Rock the House a 5, ExXxplode a 4, and Obsession a 1. And like I said, we'll rank these at the end of part 5 of Monstercat 002. But next episode we get Airwaves by Noise Storm, Metropolis by Stephen Walking, and Totally Radical by Halo Nova. So 2 artists making their 3rd appearance. We have the first song by one of the most consistently good producers on the label, in Noise Storm. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this episode, and I will see you guys when I see you guys next.